Hey guys! Hey guys, what is up? I just casted a bunch of videos, but here, for the last one that I plan on doing tonight, is another Protoss vs. Terran. This build is actually ridiculous, and this game was actually like a curb stomp, so it's gonna be fun to rewatch it and cast it. Obviously, this build's being executed and basically uncontested, as well as you can hope for. So we're going to see exactly what it is and how it pans out. Ah, man. Alright. Good to go now. And let's introduce les players. You guys know me, Red Protoss Primetime, in the somewhat bottom left of Antigua Shipyard. But in the top right of the somewhat top right of Antigua Shipyard, we have Wishing Poo. And I don't know if he's on clan XO or if the XO is something else, or if the fake clan, he's a phony. But it is Wishing Poo, our blue Terran, and this is gonna be a pretty standard game from him. Nothing crazy, nothing balls to the wall, nothing that would, you know, cost him the game that, you know, another standard Terran player would have been able to hold or not lose the game, or you guys know what I mean. I think you know. Anyway, if you guys, I'm not gonna really bother the intro to this game because literally my 3 most used PvT builds, which all are the macro oriented builds, all have the same exact opening build order, basically across the board. So if you guys want to know what this build order is, and by the way, I never said this last game, but you don't have to do this as I'm doing it. I do believe this is safe. This is why I do it this way. This is why I go for such an early Nexus and no Zealot and all that good stuff. But if you just feel more comfortable getting the Zealot out, if you feel more comfortable getting Warp Gate started and whatever else you want to get before you expand, that is all cool. Do it the way you want to. Just know that the earlier your Nexus goes down, the better macro advantage you're going to have. So yeah, and so if you want to know this build order, step by step, watch the other video. I did explain it quite a bit, and I know I've explained it in other videos that are been on the channel. So yeah, all I gotta say. It looks like our opponent is gonna go for a triple CC, and I didn't realize he got this early. Now, going for a triple CC as Terran, and I say that meaning getting a 3rd command center pretty early, not necessarily this early, but pretty early, can mean one of 2 things for them, considering the build that I'm doing. One thing it could mean is that if they build it soon enough, then they could get their money's worth out of it by building extra SCVs and mules and whatnot, as I'm sure you guys know what command centers do. But if they build it later, such as like a minute or 2 before my attack hits, it will cost them an army supply rather than give them extra army supply. So having a 3rd command center, some of you might think off the bat, well, this is going to be an easy win because he's going super macro. And my build is essentially a 2-base all-in, but honestly, it's more of a 2-base attack. It's really geared to attack your opponent, and getting a 3rd Nexus is a very simple sort of step as you're pushing out. But we'll see all that unfold. 1 bunker for Wishing Poo, so he's cutting maybe a small corner with his bunker count. Instead of using 2, he's getting 1. But the important thing that I need to show you now is this is actually the same. This is the same as last game as well. Twilight Council and Robo after you get 4 gas this game instead of 3 gas last game. And if you didn't see last game, then you're going to be completely out of the blue with what I'm talking about. Not really. It was a joke. But you want to throw down 3 extra geyses at about the 6:40 minute mark. 6:40, 6:45, either is okay. Or 6:35 even. That's pretty crazy, but it's okay. And then after you get those started, go ahead and get a Twilight and then a Robo. This Robo is going to be used for 1 Observer and then 2 Warp Prisms, but we'll see those things come out later. Again, as last game was, if my opponent was to go for a quicker Cloak Banshee, it would hit before the first Observer could get out. But it's sort of a small loss, a small small casualty of war. You're going to lose a few extra probes, but nothing major, as long as you make right decisions from there on out. And our Wishing Poo is going to be going for a reactor on the starport eventually to make some medevacs and Vikings, as every Terran does. And right now we see pylons going down around the map as well, just a spot for drops that could come. And Templar Archives get started right after Twilight Council, and Charge gets started as well. I believe I only use one chrono on this Charge upgrade. You really don't need to use any unless your opponent's going to attack you. And that's why I sort of would recommend, if you don't think you're getting Cloak Banshees in your base, in your face, send your Observer out here. Because if you see his army moving out, there is a window with this build. And I'm going to sort of go over that right now. I haven't looked at this tab, and keep in mind he's had 3 command centers to build SCVs faster. But let's go ahead and see the units tab. Workers, I have a lead, and he's had this 3rd command center. What I'm trying to show you guys by looking at that, and actually, you know what, let me go back a little bit. Before we go over what's in the top left of the screen, I would like to mention that attacks from Terran players off of 2 bases will usually come around 7 minutes. 7 to 7:30 is when they're going to attack you, is when they're going to hit you with units. That's before they can have medevacs. If they're going to use medevacs, it doesn't matter for this build because you'll be attacking them before they can even use them. And you'll have a really high gateway count, as we'll see, to defend it in case you're getting counterattacked as you're in their face. So my point is, because you're going for a pretty high worker count, we see that I'm almost completely fully saturated, and I'll continue building probes. You are kind of vulnerable to an attack. We have 3 gateways and probes, and that's basically it. So if he was to do some sort of crazy all-in, which is not common at this point in the game, he could win, basically is what I'm saying. So it is a small weakness, a small window in this build where you could lose. But that goes back to what I was saying with the Observer. If you see him pushing out, make units, chrono boost, charge upgrade, and good luck, is what I'm saying. Make some Archons. Archon Chargelot is probably your best bet, and then just try to get a good surround. Maybe like leave some units here, leave some units here. He moves up, sandwich, and add the mayo as you like it. But because that does not happen in this game, what you want to do is, as soon as this Templar finishes up, Templar Archives I should emphasize, is about the time you want to start making Warp Prisms, is the time when you want to make 5 High Templar before you get Storm. Why is this important, you ask? Well, if you get the Storm first, you're delaying getting High Templar. So you might have you're going to have less energy, and it might cost you a few storms if the odds aren't in your favor at the time you attack. Anyway, we see another Warp Prism queued up. You'll see why Warp Prisms are important and why I love Warp Prisms. Also, you're going to be able to see a mistake hopefully you guys avoid, but this actually happens to me every now and then, but we'll see that pan out. The 4th and 5th High Templar that I made are now in this Warp Prism. So by the time I drop them in his mineral line, which is highly... Okay, there he goes. He's moving them out. Alright, it's all good. By the time I drop these off, they will have enough energy for Storm, and you can either morph them into an Archon and then warp in Chargelots, or you can wait it out and hopefully regenerate enough energy so that way when he tries to come back with units, you can have enough energy for Storms. Either way is fine, but I would definitely recommend making Chargelots in his base, because that's always fun. Now, what we did not see while I was talking about Archon and whatnot. First off, this Warp Prism right here needs to be with my army, and I made that mistake this game, but oh well. Also, proxy pylons are good, and we also see... Also, having more pylons around the map just a spot for drops is also good. This Nexus can come down earlier than what it did, and it came down around the 11-minute mark. You can make this a little bit earlier, because you'll have the production to defend it. If he was to attack you, which is not common. Usually, Terrans, even on 2 bases, will start to use their medevacs around as early, 10 is really early. I would say 11 to 12 is when they're going to start to use those medevacs. So having production, it could be a little tricky to hold on to it, so maybe build it when you move out. But anyway, enough about that. What we didn't cover is you had these 3 gateways, or wherever they were, for a while. Actually, I'm gonna go back because I actually want to cover this because this is pretty important. It's pretty important stuff, man. 3 gateways. Let's go back a little more. More. Basically, there's no exact, precise timing as of when to add on the next 6 gateways, but it needs to happen, and you basically do it when you can afford it. And what we're going to see right now, and this is why I'm rewinding this, is you really won't be able to afford it until you make High Templar, until you get the storm started. And if you do it before those steps, before High Templar, before you start storm research, your attack will be heavily delayed, so it really won't work out as well. A little bit of a lag spike as the mighty observer pops out of the robo, and now the gateways start to come in. There's 4. I need to add some more, so now I have 8 gateways. Should add 1 more. I'm actually not sure if I did this game. You want 9. Wait, is it 8 or 9? Yeah, you want 9? I don't know. 8 or 9 gateways is what you want. I guess I went with 8 this time. Did I not even hotkey the 8th one? I did. Okay, so we see 8 right there on the units, on the 1 hotkey. 8, I guess, is okay, but if you go with 8 instead of 9 or 10, what you've got to realize is you've got to make probes while you're attacking, while you're moving out, and rally them to your 3rd base. Of course, you want your Nexus to actually be there before you start rallying probes, but that is optional in the grand scheme of things, I suppose. Anyway, so now we're going to see my big Warp Prism flub. The one thing you need to remember to do is Chrono Boost Storm, because if Storm's not researched when you do a High Templar Storm drop, you're going to have a bad time. We can see, this is what I was talking about actually. Those High Templar had 106 energy, and that goes back to what I'm saying, where you can have enough for 2 storms, because each will have 1. And then, typically what will happen is I'll storm, warp in Chargelots, and then if you leave the High Templar to regain energy, you're just hoping that the Chargelots won't get overrun, and when they send their bio back to come and try to clean you up, you can just storm them. So that's pretty convenient, if your Templar don't die. However, this did not work because I'm a scrub. I did see his command center float by my observer, so I know that's there. And I don't know how many workers he's got there, but all you need to do is just send a couple zealots, and they will make short work of dem SCVs. Observer's going to die, not a major loss. And so a few zealots can be coming up here. We can see my money is actually a lot higher than you would really consider it to be, since I'm on, well, like, what I'm trying to say is 8 gateways, having this amount of money really isn't too much. But when you're getting really cost efficient, when you're making zealots that cost 100 minerals and units that basically cost all gas, you really need to constantly be making units. By the way, this Viking is on the prowl, so I had to unload right there. And I'm essentially getting ready to do a 2-pronged attack. It's very simple. And his whole army was here waiting for the drop. So I see this and I know, okay, I can attack and win. Now, remember those 3 High Templar that I made forever ago? That's 2 storms, that's 2 storms, and that is 2 storms. That's, what is it, like 6 storms. Alright, people, that I have at my disposal down here. That's a lot of storms. And then right here, I mess up quite a bit. I only get 1 storm off. Did a lot of damage, but, wow, I did a lot of damage. But nonetheless, could have been better. I lose 1 Templar pretty quickly, another Templar goes down. High Templar control is actually not really the focal point of this attack. It's more so spending your money and just making sure your storms hit something. The idea of this attack, as we see, I completely destroy him here. Units lost tab is what I'm talking about. The idea behind this attack is to give him no place to run. If he wants to back up and kite your Chargelots, he's going to ball up his units, he's going to be stuck behind something, and then you storm his face off. Also, usually your second Warp Prism up here will not be killed off this easily, so you can warp in here, you can warp in here. If my other Warp Prism was anywhere, oh yeah, I did bring it up here, you can warp in wherever you want with this thing, so just warping in a ton of units. You're basically just overwhelming your opponent, and it's also very helpful that he expands. But as you can see, I completely destroyed his army, as I think I already said word for word. If he didn't expand, he would have more units, but that's also more units to storm. It's more units for him to have balled up. And if he doesn't expand, he's going to have more CVs here that will more easily be stormed and killed. So, alright. That's a lot of talking. This one stalker has been chasing this factory around forever. My one mistake this game, in my opinion, was first, I would recommend getting 9 gateways because your money will not be spent all too easily. And second, it would help to make probes. Actually, this nexus really wasn't up for too long, but even making probes before, like a little bit before this nexus is completely built, is good, and just rally them over here. Just to spend your money, just to get a better economy. And transitions you can make from here. You know, I showed you the last video, Blink, Stalker, Chargelot. You could research Blink and go for that to have a safe build in case this attack even ends up being an even trade or whatever. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't know the proper follow-up because this build either kills them or I get killed in that small window that I've showed you guys. It's one or the other. I think I've only had one game where I did this attack, and even though I was cost effective, even though I killed a lot of workers, I still had to follow it up. And you can go Colossus, you can go more gateways, you can go Blink, as I said. Another cool thing, I know this video is going on way too long now. Another cool thing, and that you can do is build a lot of High Templar if you have the gas for it. Let's say you get these 2 gas early. You can get a lot of High Templar. I mean, like 10 to 15. Spread them out as best you can, and even if your opponent has like 80 ghosts, you just can't snipe and EMP them fast enough. You're going to get some storms off, and that's really all you need to do. Because either your opponent's going to be splitting up their ball of their bio ball, they're going to be splitting it up as best they can, or they're going to be EMPing and sniping. So, massing High Templar, not too bad. Just don't let them get balled up and EMP'd. That is too bad. 13 kills, those are the High Templar that morphed in. 2 in Archon. Anyway, alright, that's enough for me. As you can see, if you're able to do this uncontested, as I mentioned earlier in the video, you can slaughter a lot of stuff really quickly. Hope you guys enjoy this wacky Chargelot Archon build / storm as much as I do when I win with it. Good luck later, guys. One more PvT build. Actually, I guess I already showed the other one. I might do it again. We'll see. I don't know. I also want to show you guys a standard game of that Blink, Stalker, Chargelot. So that'll be on the channel, and then we'll see where I go from there. This is a lot of stuff though for now, so hopefully it's enough for you guys for the near time, future time, and yeah.